Humanity's silent stand. 3 decades had passed since humanity first received the faint radio whispers of an approaching alien empire. The Galactic Dominion, a sprawling union of countless worlds, sent their emissaries not with open arms but with veiled ultimatums. Earth was to join the Dominion as a vassal or face pacification. On the moon's shadowed surface, Commander Alara Miles stood in Earth's primary control center, staring at the holographic projections of incoming Dominion scout ships. The sleek, predatory vessels glided through space, a testament to their technological prowess. Yet, Alara's gaze was calm, her steel-gray eyes betraying no fear. Commander, her second-in-command, Lieutenant Ryan Kent, spoke, breaking the silence. Dominion scouts are entering lunar orbit. They're broadcasting their terms again. Shall I patch them through? Alara straightened her uniform, its matte black fabric adorned with a single silver emblem, a phoenix rising from flames. The insignia of Earth's Unified Defense Initiative. No need, she replied, her voice steady. They've made their position clear, and so have we. Activate the cloaking field. A hum filled the air as Earth's lunar outpost disappeared from Dominion scanners. It wasn't invisibility in the traditional sense but a manipulation of space-time itself, a human breakthrough that even the most advanced alien civilizations had yet to understand. On board the Dominion scout vessel Aegis Dawn, Commander Rin Vallis frowned at his monitors. The Earth station had vanished, leaving only empty space. Report, he barked. Unknown interference, sir, replied his technician, their voice tinged with uncertainty. Our sensors show nothing. It's as if the station was never there. Rin narrowed his eyes. The humans were proving to be more than the primitive species the Dominion's intelligence had described. Send a probe. Let's see what they're hiding. Back on the moon, Alara watched as the probe appeared on her holograms, its metallic frame glinting under the harsh light of the sun. She glanced at Ryan. Shall we? Ryan grinned, typing commands into his console. The probe stopped mid-flight, frozen as if time itself had paused. Moments later, it disassembled piece by piece, each component gently drifting apart before vanishing into the void. Message sent, Alara said with a smirk. Now let's see if they're smart enough to understand it. The Dominion's fractured pride. Aboard the Aegis Dawn, the Dominion crew stared in stunned silence at the blank screens where their probe's data should have been. The impossibility of what they had just witnessed rippled through the command deck. Dominion technology was the apex of galactic advancement, or so they had believed. Yet, the humans had rendered their probe useless without so much as firing a shot. Commander Rin Vallis clenched his fists, his pride stinging from the display of defiance. Analyze what just happened, he growled, his voice sharp with frustration. The technician's hands trembled over their console. Sir, there's nothing to analyze. The probe's memory core ceased to exist. It's as if it never entered the system. Rin's jaw tightened. Enough games. Prepare the uplink to High Command. They need to know Earth isn't as defenseless as we assumed. Back on Earth, Alara Miles stood in the observation deck of the lunar outpost, gazing out at the planet below. It was a fragile jewel in the vast darkness of space, its blue and green hues shimmering with the energy of billions of lives. We've bought ourselves some time, Ryan said, joining her. But how long before they send a full fleet? Long enough, Alara replied, her voice firm. They don't understand what they're dealing with. They think we're fighting by their rules, but humanity never follows the script. Hours later, on the Dominion's capital world, a meeting of the Supreme Council was convened. High Commander Celis Draven sat at the head of the table, her regal features etched with disbelief as she listened to Rin Vallis's report. This, interference, she said, her voice measured but icy. Are you suggesting the humans possess technology beyond our understanding? Rin hesitated. I'm saying they've developed unconventional methods, Commander. Their tactics don't align with the Dominion's scientific principles. Celis's sharp eyes narrowed. Unconventional or not, the Dominion cannot afford to let this challenge stand. If Earth resists, other systems will follow. We must act decisively. Across the chamber, Admiral Thren Volkar, a veteran of countless campaigns, leaned forward. Then let us mobilize the fleet. Overwhelm them with numbers before they can mount a proper defense. Celis raised a hand, silencing the room. No. We won't act in haste. If Earth's capabilities are truly beyond our comprehension, we must first understand their weaknesses. Dispatch a second wave, larger, more heavily armed. Test their defenses. But ensure no direct confrontation. Admiral Volkar smirked. You mean provoke them? Force them to reveal their hand. Precisely, Celis said. And if they refuse, we'll make them understand the cost of defiance. The second wave arrived 3 weeks later, a flotilla of Dominion warships stationed just beyond the Moon's orbit. Unlike the scout ships, these vessels bristled with advanced weaponry and carried legions of battle-ready troops. Ilara stood in Earth's central command hub, now hidden within a hollowed-out asteroid orbiting Saturn. The holographic projection of the Dominion fleet flickered before her and her team. They're testing us, Ryan said, his brow furrowed. No demands, no broadcasts. They just, wait. Ilara studied the projection, her mind racing. They're trying to map our capabilities. We'll give them what they're looking for. She tapped a command into her console. Across the solar system, Earth's hidden defense grid stirred to life. Stations cloaked in layers of warped space began to hum with energy, their positions shifting constantly to evade detection. Within moments, the Dominion ships were bombarded by an array of subtle but disruptive phenomena. Artificial gravitational waves bent their trajectories, forcing them into disarray. Communications were scrambled, leaving their fleets isolated. On board the Dominion flagship, Admiral Volkar slammed his fist onto the console. What is this? Status report. His officers scrambled to make sense of the chaos. Sir, our navigation systems are malfunctioning. It's as if space itself is shifting. Volkar's eyes blazed with fury. Enough. Activate the assault drones. Let's see if their trickery can handle brute force. Dozens of sleek, automated drones launched from the Dominion vessels, their AI programmed for relentless pursuit. But as they neared Earth's defense grid, the drones faltered. Their sensors fed them conflicting data, causing them to veer off course or collide with one another. Back on Earth, Ilara watched the Dominion fleet struggle with a mixture of satisfaction and resolve. They're relentless, she murmured. But so are we. The grid systems pulsed once more, this time targeting the Dominion's power cores. One by one, the ship's lights dimmed as their energy reserves were drained. Within minutes, the entire fleet was rendered inert, floating helplessly in the void. Ryan exhaled sharply. They'll know this was just a warning. Ilara nodded. Good. Let them carry that message back to their leaders. Humanity isn't a prize to be claimed. We've earned our place among the stars, and we won't bow to anyone. The rising storm. In the aftermath of their second failure, the Dominion fleet limped back to its nearest stronghold. Admiral Volkar's pride was in shambles. The once mighty fleet he commanded had been humiliated by a species the Dominion had long dismissed as primitive. As the ships docked for repairs, Volkar sent an urgent transmission to the Supreme Council. When the Council gathered to review the fleet's defeat, High Commander Celis Draven's face remained impassive, but her eyes burned with barely restrained fury. The room was tense, the air thick with unease. This is the second time Earth has defied us, Celis said, her voice sharp. Admiral Volkar, explain. Volkar stood stiffly, his expression grim. High Commander, their technology is unlike anything we've encountered. They manipulate space itself, rendering our weapons and sensors ineffective. It's not just advanced, it's alien to us. Celis leaned forward, her gaze piercing. Are you suggesting Earth is beyond the Dominion's ability to subdue? Volkar hesitated. I'm saying we underestimated them. If we're to prevail, we must approach this conflict differently. At the table's edge, Dr. Neri Azor, the Dominion's leading scientist, spoke up. High Commander, I've reviewed the data. Earth's technology doesn't rely on brute force. It's elegant, almost symbiotic with the universe. They've found a way to work with the fabric of reality, not against it. It's a philosophy we've never considered. Celis's expression darkened. You're saying they've surpassed us? No, Neria replied carefully. I'm saying they've diverged. They don't think like us, which makes them unpredictable. Dangerous. The council murmured uneasily. Celis raised a hand for silence. Then we will adapt. If brute force fails, we'll dismantle them from within. Deploy infiltration teams. Sabotage their infrastructure. Sow discord among their people. If we cannot outmatch their technology, we will undermine their resolve. On Earth, Elara Miles was reviewing reports from the defense grid when an alert flashed across her console. It was subtle, an anomalous energy signature detected near Mars. She frowned, tapping into the system's surveillance feeds. What do you see? Ryan asked, leaning over her shoulder. Something trying to hide, Elara replied. She magnified the feed, revealing a cluster of cloaked Dominion ships lurking near the red planet. They weren't moving toward Earth but were instead positioning themselves around key asteroid mining facilities. They're targeting our resource supply lines, Elara said, her tone grim. They know they can't beat us in open combat, so they're going for sabotage. Ryan's jaw tightened. What's the play? Elara's mind raced. We don't confront them directly. If they want to fight in the shadows, we'll meet them there. She activated a secure channel, connecting to Captain Lien Eris of the Shadow Corps, Earth's covert operations unit. Lien's hologram flickered to life, her sharp features framed by the dim lighting of her command center. Commander, Lien greeted, her voice calm and professional. I assume this is about the Dominion infiltrators near Mars. Elara nodded. Can you handle it? Lien's lips curled into a faint smile. Consider it done. Hours later, in the darkness of Mars's orbit, the Dominion operatives began their sabotage mission. Small teams of engineers and technicians slipped onto mining stations, planting devices designed to disrupt Earth's resource flow. They worked quickly, confident in their cloaking technology. But as they moved through the stations, shadows seemed to shift unnaturally around them. One by one, Dominion operatives vanished, pulled into the darkness without a sound. Panic spread through the teams as their numbers dwindled. In the control room of one station, Lien Eris observed the chaos with satisfaction. Her team of operatives moved like phantoms, neutralizing the Dominion infiltrators with precision. Earth's advancements in stealth and counterintelligence were proving as effective as its defense grid. By the time the Dominion realized they'd been compromised, it was too late. Their operatives were either captured or neutralized, and their cloaked ships were surrounded by Earth stealth fighters. Lien hailed the Dominion flagship. This is Captain Lien Eris of Earth's Shadow Corps. Your attempt at sabotage has failed. Withdraw now, or your ships will be dismantled piece by piece. Admiral Volkar, watching the unfolding disaster from his command center, clenched his fists. This isn't over, he spat before ordering a retreat. As the Dominion ships fled, Elara received Lien's report. Another victory, Ryan said, a hint of pride in his voice. Temporary, Elara replied. The Dominion won't stop. Each time they fail, they'll escalate. We need to be ready for whatever comes next. Ryan nodded. And if they bring their full force? Elara's eyes hardened. Then we show them what it means to face a united Earth. The Dominion's ultimate gambit. Weeks passed, and the solar system remained tense. Earth had repelled 2 Dominion incursions, each more aggressive than the last. Yet, there was no celebration. Humanity knew the next move would be the Dominion's most dangerous yet. In Earth's central command hub, hidden deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Elara Miles stood with her team, analyzing intercepted Dominion communications. "They're rallying their core fleets," Ryan said, pointing to the data. "Hundreds of capital ships, thousands of support vessels. This isn't a raid, they're preparing for total war." Elara's face remained stoic. "They've realized subtlety won't work. They're coming with everything they have." Across the room, Dr. Nadia Wren, Earth's leading physicist, was absorbed in the holographic display of Dominion fleet movements. "They think overwhelming force will break us," she said, her tone measured. "But their approach is linear, predictable. If we anticipate their moves, we can outmaneuver them." Ryan folded his arms. "Outmaneuver thousands of ships? With all due respect, Doctor, that sounds ambitious." Nadia turned to him, her expression unwavering. "Not if we use the whole chessboard." Elara's eyes lit up with understanding. "You're talking about the hypergrid." The hypergrid was humanity's most closely guarded secret, a network of gravitational and spatial manipulation stations spread across the solar system. It was the culmination of decades of research into space-time mechanics, capable of bending the fabric of reality itself. Nadia nodded. "If we synchronize the grid, we can reshape the battlefield. Force their fleet into positions that neutralize their numbers advantage." Ryan frowned. "And if it fails?" Elara's voice was firm. "It won't. Because failure isn't an option." On the Dominion capital world, the Supreme Council convened in emergency session. High Commander Celis Draven stood before a massive holographic display of Earth's solar system. The Dominion's greatest minds and military leaders were assembled, their faces grim. "The humans have proven more resilient than anticipated," Celis began, her voice cold. "But resilience isn't invincibility. We will crush their defiance with sheer force." Admiral Volkar, still reeling from his prior defeats, spoke up. "High Commander, their technology defies conventional strategy. If we march in blindly, we risk another embarrassment." Celis's gaze sharpened. "This isn't a suggestion, Admiral. The Third Fleet will lead the charge, supported by reinforcements from the core worlds. We will overwhelm them before they can counter." In the shadows of the chamber, Dr. Neria Zor observed silently. She had warned the Council about Earth's unconventional methods, but her caution was dismissed in favor of brute force. Now, as the plans for an all-out assault unfolded, she couldn't shake a sense of foreboding. The Dominion's combined fleets emerged from hyperspace at the edges of Earth's solar system, a massive armada that darkened the stars. Admiral Volkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, his determination renewed. "Deploy scout waves," he ordered. "Identify their defenses. This time, we leave no room for error." The scouts spread out, their sensors scanning for Earth's cloaked installations. At first, the results were promising. Several hidden stations were identified near Jupiter and Saturn. But as the fleet advanced, the space around them began to shift. One scout ship reported being pulled off course, its engine struggling against an invisible force. Another found its weapon systems mysteriously disabled. Within minutes, chaos rippled through the Dominion ranks. "What's happening?" Volkar demanded. His tactical officer's voice trembled. "Sir, the gravitational fields are fluctuating. It's as if space itself is fighting us." In Earth's command hub, Elara and her team monitored the hypergrid's activation. On the holographic display, the Dominion fleet appeared as glowing red icons, their formations unraveling. "It's working," Nadia said, her voice calm but focused. "The grid is disrupting their spatial alignment." They're trapped in their own confusion. Ryan leaned closer to the display. We're hurting them. Elara nodded. Exactly. And once they're in position. She tapped a command, and the grid's energy surged. Across the solar system, Dominion ships found themselves pulled into narrow corridors of space, funneled toward carefully placed Earth defense stations. The stations, previously hidden, emerged from their cloaks and unleashed a coordinated assault. Pulses of energy disrupted Dominion shields, while railguns and particle beams tore through their hulls. On the Dominion flagship, Volkar watched in disbelief as his fleet was systematically dismantled. How is this possible? He muttered. We outnumber them 100 to 1. Dr. Neri Azor's voice came over the comms. Admiral, you're thinking in numbers. The humans are thinking in dimensions. They've turned the battlefield into a weapon. Volkar clenched his fists. Then we'll destroy the battlefield. Prepare the supernova device. The bridge went silent. The supernova device was a weapon of last resort, capable of igniting a star and obliterating everything within light years. It was a desperate move, but Volkar was past caring. Back on Earth, the hypergrid detected the spike in energy output from the Dominion flagship. Elara's console lit up with warnings. They're activating a Starkiller, Nadia said, her voice urgent. If they succeed, the entire solar system will be destroyed. Elara's mind raced. Can the grid neutralize it? Nadia hesitated. Not directly. But we can redirect their energy. Turn their weapon against them. Ryan's eyes widened. You mean, make them destroy their own fleet? Elara nodded grimly. It's our only chance. Do it. Nadia's hands flew across her console, recalibrating the hypergrid. The Dominion supernova device began to glow with deadly energy, but instead of igniting the sun, its power looped back through the grid. The energy surged uncontrollably, engulfing the Dominion flagship. On board the flagship, alarms blared as the ship's core destabilized. Volkar stared at the chaos around him, his arrogance finally giving way to despair. We've underestimated them, he whispered. And now we pay the price. The flagship exploded in a blinding flash of light, taking much of the Dominion fleet with it. The surviving ships, scattered and demoralized, retreated into hyperspace. In Earth's command hub, cheers erupted as the Dominion fleet vanished. But Elara remained silent, her gaze fixed on the holographic display. This isn't the end, she said quietly. They'll be back. Stronger. Smarter. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. And we'll be ready. Elara nodded, a steely determination in her eyes. Always. The turning point. The remnants of the Dominion fleet scattered across hyperspace, returning to their respective strongholds with tales of Earth's incomprehensible power. What began as an act of defiance had now become a galactic legend. Humanity, the underdog species from a fringe star system, had humbled the mighty Dominion. On Earth, the atmosphere was a mixture of triumph and unease. Victory against the Dominion's armada had been hard-won, but Elara Miles and her team knew this was merely the beginning. The Dominion's next move would be calculated and far more dangerous. In the command hub beneath the Antarctic ice, Elara stood before a council of Earth's top leaders. Representatives from every continent and faction were present, their faces lit by the flickering glow of a holographic map displaying the solar system. Today, we celebrate a victory, Elara began, her voice steady. But we must not mistake survival for safety. The Dominion will regroup, and they'll return with strategies to counter our defenses. General Hiro Takeda, head of Earth's military forces, leaned forward. What do you propose, Commander? Another layer to the hypergrid? Enhanced planetary defenses? Elara shook her head. Neither. Defense alone isn't enough. We need to shift the fight beyond our borders. The Dominion won't expect us to take the offensive. The room fell silent. For centuries, humanity's focus had been on survival, defending against threats, not initiating conflict. Ilara's suggestion was radical, and the weight of it settled heavily on the council. Dr. Nadia Wren broke the silence. She's right. We've proven we can hold our ground, but if we continue to wait for the Dominion to strike, we'll always be reacting. To ensure our survival, we must push the boundaries. President Amina Dartsi of the Unified Earth Coalition nodded slowly. And how do you suggest we achieve that? Ilara tapped a command on her console. The holographic display shifted to show a detailed map of the Dominion's territories, highlighting critical infrastructure and supply lines. We know their weak points, Ilara said. Their reliance on centralized power, their overconfidence in their technological superiority. If we target key systems, communications hubs, resource depots, we can disrupt their ability to wage war. Ryan Kent, standing by Ilara's side, added, and we don't need to conquer them. Just force them to reconsider. Show them that Earth isn't worth the cost. Meanwhile, in the heart of Dominion space, High Commander Celis Draven was addressing the Supreme Council. The holographic images of the shattered Third Fleet floated before them, a grim reminder of their failure. This is unacceptable, Celis declared, her voice echoing in the Grand Chamber. Earth has humiliated the Dominion twice. If we allow this defiance to stand, it will embolden others. We risk losing everything we've built. Admiral Thren Volkar's replacement, Admiral Kyra's Lore, stood at attention. Then we crush them utterly, High Commander. No more underestimating their technology. We bring the full might of the Dominion to bear. Celis turned her sharp gaze to Dr. Neria Zor. Doctor, your assessment? Neria hesitated. Their technology operates on principles we don't fully understand. However, their resources are limited. If we sustain pressure, they will eventually falter. Celis nodded. Then we proceed with a campaign of attrition. We'll isolate their system, cut off their allies, and grind them down. Prepare the fleets. Back on Earth, the newly formed Expeditionary Task Force prepared to carry out Ilara's plan. A fleet of stealth-capable ships, equipped with advanced gravitational and spatial manipulation technology, was assembled. The fleet's flagship, Resolute, was a marvel of human ingenuity, a sleek vessel designed not just for combat but for outmaneuvering the Dominion in every sense. Ilara and her team boarded the Resolute, the weight of their mission pressing heavily on them. As the ship left Earth's orbit, Ilara addressed the crew. This is humanity's first step beyond defense, she said. We're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for our future. The Dominion has underestimated us at every turn. Let's make sure they never do it again. The Resolute's engines hummed as it slipped into hyperspace, its destination a critical Dominion communications hub deep within enemy territory. The Dominion outpost, located in a dense asteroid field, was lightly defended. Its operators, complacent after centuries of uncontested dominance, were unprepared for what came next. The Resolute emerged from hyperspace silently, its cloaking systems rendering it invisible to the outpost's sensors. In the command center, Ilara observed the operation unfold. Earth's operatives, trained by the Shadow Corps, infiltrated the outpost with precision. Within minutes, they had planted devices designed to disrupt the Dominion's communications across several sectors. The outpost's alarms blared as the operatives made their escape, but it was too late. The devices activated, sending pulses of energy that overloaded the Dominion's communication network. Chaos erupted across the affected sectors as Dominion fleets lost contact with their command centers. On board the Resolute, Ryan grinned as the outpost imploded behind them. One step at a time, he said. That's how we show them. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. One step at a time. In the Dominion capital, reports of the attack reached High Commander Celis Draven. Her expression darkened as she realized Earth's strategy had changed. They're no longer defending, she muttered. They're fighting back. Dr. Neri Azor, standing nearby, spoke cautiously. High Commander, this escalation could work against us. Earth's unpredictability is their strength. If we push too hard, we risk driving them to innovations we can't counter. Celis's eyes narrowed. Then we must end this quickly. Dispatch the 7th Fleet to intercept their expeditionary force. We will not let them dictate the terms of this war. As the Dominion mobilized its response, Elara and her team prepared for the next phase of their mission, knowing that every move they made brought humanity closer to either victory or annihilation. Clash in the void. The Resolute and its fleet of Earth's most advanced ships were hurtling through hyperspace, their cloaking systems humming quietly. Elara Miles stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back, eyes fixed on the holographic map displaying their next target, a Dominion resource hub critical to their fleet logistics. Admiral Kyra's lore has been deployed, Ryan reported, his voice carrying an edge of tension. The 7th Fleet is en route, projected to intercept us before we reach the hub. Elara's gaze didn't waver. How many ships? Approximately 200 capital ships, with full support. Elara nodded, her mind racing. Earth's fleet was outnumbered nearly 10 to 1, but their strength lay not in numbers but in strategy and technology. Then we won't wait for them to intercept us. Set course for the Wolf Nebula. We'll meet them on our terms. Within the Dominion's massive 7th Fleet, Admiral Kyra's lore studied the latest reports with a grim smile. The humans' attack on the communication hub had been daring, but now they had overplayed their hand. Earth's fleet, however clever, would crumble under the Dominion's overwhelming might. Keep formations tight, lore ordered. And prepare the hyperspace disruptors. They won't escape us. The fleet surged through the void, a constellation of ships glowing with readiness. But as they neared the Wolf Nebula, something unexpected occurred. The space around them shimmered and twisted, as if the fabric of reality itself were resisting their presence. Admiral, an officer called out. Our sensors are being jammed. Spatial distortions are increasing. Lore frowned. Humans, he muttered. Bring us back into standard space. Prepare for combat. The Resolute and its fleet lay in wait within the nebula's dense gas clouds, their cloaking systems amplifying the confusion. Elara watched as the Dominion fleet dropped out of hyperspace, their massive ships lumbering into a chaotic battlefield. They're disoriented, Ryan said, his tone eager. Perfect for us. Hold, Elara ordered. Let them make the first move. As the Dominion ships attempted to regroup, Earth's fleet struck. Pulses of energy surged from hidden positions, disabling key systems on the Dominion's lead ships. The Resolute darted through the chaos, its advanced weaponry tearing through enemy hulls with surgical precision. On the Dominion flagship, Admiral Lore barked orders, his confidence giving way to frustration. Counter fire. Sweep the nebula with plasma arrays. The Dominion ships unleashed a barrage of firepower, but their weapons found only empty space. Earth's fleet moved with uncanny precision, striking and vanishing before the Dominion could react. In the command center of the Resolute, Dr. Nadia Wren monitored the battle closely. They're starting to adapt, she warned. Their formations are tightening, and they're recalibrating their sensors. Elara nodded. Then it's time for the second phase. Activate the decoy grid. A series of false signals erupted across the nebula, creating the illusion of additional Earth ships. The Dominion fleet, already struggling to track their real opponents, found themselves overwhelmed by phantom targets. Brilliant, Ryan muttered. They're chasing ghosts. But the victory was not without cost. A Dominion battleship, acting on a hunch from Admiral Lore, launched a coordinated attack on the Resolute's position. The ship shuddered violently as its shields absorbed the brunt of the assault. Damage report. Elara demanded. Shields at 60%, an officer replied. No critical systems affected. Ilara's jaw tightened. Time to finish this. Deploy the disruptor arrays. The disruptor arrays were Earth's most devastating weapon, capable of destabilizing the energy cores of enemy ships. As the Resolute unleashed its payload, the Dominion fleet began to falter. One by one, their ships lost power, drifting helplessly in the nebula's embrace. Admiral Lore watched in horror as his fleet unraveled. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can they?" Before he could finish, the Resolute appeared directly before his flagship, its sleek hull glowing with latent energy. A communication came through, and Ilara's face appeared on his screen. "Admiral Lore," she said calmly. "Your fleet is defeated. Surrender, and I will allow your survivors to leave. Resist, and you'll share their fate." Lore's pride burned, but he saw no alternative. With a heavy heart, he gave the order. "Stand down." The aftermath of the battle sent shockwaves through the Dominion. The Seventh Fleet, their symbol of invincibility, had been dismantled by a fraction of Earth's forces. On Earth, the victory was celebrated, but Ilara and her team remained focused. "This isn't over," Ilara said during a debriefing. "The Dominion will retaliate, but we've proven one thing: humanity isn't just a survivor. We're a force to be reckoned with." Ryan grinned. "And they'll think twice before underestimating us again." Humanity ascends. The victory at the Wolf Nebula was more than a tactical triumph, it was a statement. Across the galaxy, whispers of Earth's defiance grew into roars of admiration and fear. The Dominion, once unchallenged, now found its authority questioned by systems long under its control. For humanity, however, the war was far from over. In the aftermath of the battle, Ilara Miles and her team returned to Earth aboard the Resolute, their spirits tempered by the knowledge that the Dominion's retaliation would come swiftly. In the command hub beneath the Antarctic ice, Earth's leaders convened to plan their next move. President Amina Darcy addressed the gathered officials. "The Dominion will not forgive or forget this defeat. We must prepare for an escalation unlike anything we've seen." Dr. Nadia Wren nodded. "They'll adapt, just as we have. Our current defenses won't hold indefinitely. We need to think bigger." General Hiro Takeda frowned. "Bigger how?" "Our hypergrid is already pushing the limits of our capabilities." Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady. "Not limits. Possibilities. The Dominion fights to dominate, but humanity has always fought to thrive. If we shift our focus from defense to innovation, we can create a new reality, one they can't touch." On the Dominion's capital world, High Commander Celis Draven stood before a shattered Supreme Council. The defeat of the Seventh Fleet had left the Dominion in disarray. Governors of distant systems were openly questioning the central authority, and whispers of rebellion were growing louder. Celis's voice was cold and commanding. "We've underestimated humanity for the last time. Their ingenuity is a threat not just to the Dominion but to our very way of life. We must eliminate them completely." Admiral Kyra's Lore, his pride still stinging from his defeat, stepped forward. "High Commander, I recommend deploying the Zenith Protocol." The chamber fell silent. The Zenith Protocol was the Dominion's most destructive weapon, an armada of planet killers, capable of reducing entire systems to ash. It was a tool of absolute annihilation, used only in the most extreme circumstances. Dr. Neria Zor spoke cautiously. "High Commander, if we deploy the Zenith Protocol, we risk alienating even our loyal systems. The galaxy already questions our methods. This could spark a rebellion." Celis's gaze was icy. "Then we'll deal with rebellion after Earth is gone." On Earth, Ilara and her team worked tirelessly to prepare for the coming storm. Humanity's greatest minds convened, pooling resources and knowledge to push the boundaries of their technology. The hypergrid was expanded, its reach extending beyond the solar system. New ships were designed, incorporating lessons learned from the Dominion's tactics. But Alara knew technology alone wouldn't win the war. She addressed the crew of the Resolute and the gathered fleet. "Humanity has faced extinction before," she said, her voice echoing through the command deck. "And every time, we've risen stronger. This isn't just about survival. It's about showing the galaxy what we stand for: freedom, resilience, and the right to carve our own path." Her words resonated deeply, igniting a fire within every soul present. This was no longer just a war, it was a fight for humanity's place among the stars. The Dominion's Zenith Armada arrived at the edge of the solar system 3 weeks later, their hulking planet killers bristling with destructive power. Admiral Kyra's Lore stood aboard the flagship, his resolve hardened by the High Commander's orders. "Earth will be an example," he said to his officers. "No defiance goes unpunished." But as the Armada advanced, they encountered a solar system transformed. The hypergrid pulsed with energy, creating an intricate web of gravitational anomalies that disrupted the Dominion's formations. Earth's fleet emerged from hidden positions, striking with precision and retreating before the Dominion could react. The Resolute led the charge, its sleek hull glowing with energy as it darted through the chaos. In the midst of the battle, Alara received a transmission from Dr. Nadia Wren. "The grid is holding, but it's reaching critical thresholds. If we push it too far, the entire system could destabilize." Alara's jaw tightened. "What about the contingency?" Nadia hesitated. "It's untested. If it fails, we lose everything." Alara's voice was firm. "Then we don't fail." As the battle raged, the Zenith Armada deployed its planet killers. The massive weapons began charging, their energy cores glowing with lethal intensity. Humanity's fleet scrambled to disable them, but the sheer scale of the weapons made it nearly impossible. On the Resolute, Alara made a decision. "Activate the Singularity Drive." Ryan's eyes widened. "That's a one-way trip." Alara's expression was resolute. "If we don't stop those weapons, Earth is finished." The Resolute was built for this. The ship's crew worked quickly, preparing the Singularity Drive, a device capable of creating a controlled black hole. As the planet killers prepared to fire, the Resolute raced into the heart of the Armada, its engines burning with impossible energy. The Singularity Drive activated, and a black hole began to form. The Dominion's ships were pulled into the vortex, their massive forms crushed under the immense gravitational forces. The planet killers, caught in the Singularity's grip, imploded one by one. In the aftermath, the Resolute emerged battered but intact. The Dominion's Zenith Armada was no more. Earth had faced the unthinkable and prevailed. Alara stood on the bridge, her crew cheering around her. But her gaze was distant, her thoughts heavy. The war wasn't over, but humanity had taken its greatest step forward. On the Dominion capital world, the Supreme Council was in chaos. High Commander Celis Draven's authority was crumbling, and rebellions were breaking out across the galaxy. Dr. Neri Azor, watching from the shadows, allowed herself a rare smile. "They've done it," she whispered. "They've shown us all what's possible." Back on Earth, Alara Miles addressed the world. Her image was broadcast to every corner of the planet and to humanity's growing network of allies. "This victory isn't just ours," she said. "It belongs to every species that dreams of freedom, every world that seeks its own path. Humanity has shown the galaxy that strength lies not in domination but in unity and determination." The war wasn't over, but for the first time, the galaxy saw a future where the Dominion's shadow no longer loomed. And at the heart of it all was Earth, a beacon of hope, resilience, and unyielding defiance. The end. Thank you.